back. This is the Dana White Contender Series preview. We are on to week number 7. I am your host. I am Keith Shillan. I'm a writer for SureDog.com. I'm also the executive producer of the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. A decent week last week. Nothing crazy. I went 3-2. It was probably the worst week in a long time. I did have a nice little run. Let's just review it. I did pick, let's just go over the ones I got wrong. I picked Mana Martinez over Draco Rodriguez. He was looking good until he got triangle choked. And then Cameron Church came out really good in the first round, but he couldn't stop the takedowns of Sherrod Blackledge. Those are the 2 fights I got wrong. This week we got 5 more fights. This is some tough ones. I mean, they're all kind of pick'ems. Last I checked, let me see. Finally, we do have the odds. I've been waiting all day to see what the odds are. Let's get into it. Actually, let me look over this really quick to see what the underdogs are. If I took any of the underdogs, I did take one. I got a good. Okay. All right. So I don't want to give away, but I might see what my underdog pick is. So let's get right into it, guys. First fight of the evening, we have Kyle Driscoll versus Dennis Paiva. Kyle Driscoll is 26 years old. He's got an 11-3 record. He's from Oklahoma, but he's been training out in American Kickboxing Academy for a couple of years. Pretty well-rounded. He's got some pro boxing and NCAA wrestling experience. He's a tall featherweight. He stands 6 feet tall. He's a rangy fighter. Used a lot of feints. Throws strikes right down the pipe. Works behind a long jab. Calf kicks. Good high kick. Good question mark kick. He can be a little low output at times, but when he does pick it up and he's aggressive, he's a much better fighter. A lot of holes defensively, stands up very straight, lacks head movement, heavy on his front leg, leaving him open to leg kicks. He's a good offensive wrestler. He shoots from he shoots from too far away sometimes, but he makes up for it by being a really good scrambler. I'm sure when he was an NCAA wrestler, I bet he had like a lot of funky game. Good ground and pound, hard to hold down if he's on the bottom. Going over to his opponent, Dennis Paiva, guy I'm very familiar with. I'll just be 100% honest. Dennis Paiva is from my hometown. He grew up in Fall River. That's the area I lived in a while. I think he currently lives in East Providence. That's where I live. We have a lot of mutual friends. He actually started coaching the old wrestling team that I wrestled for years ago. I actually went back in the room when he was coaching. We became friends. I should say friendly. We're not friends. But I'm going to be as honest, transparent as I am in this one. I'm not going to show any bias. So let's get into Paiva. Paiva's, I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's probably about his early 30s. He's 13-7. Sweetbread nickname is one of my favorite because of the hometown, the area of East Providence and Fall River, where he calls home, is a very Portuguese neighborhood, and a dessert that is very popular in Portuguese is sweetbread, so that's why they call it sweetbread. It's actually called massa, is the Portuguese word. He's got a notable win over Jordan Espinoza, which I was in attendance for, but if you recall, was a bantamweight bout with that. Espinoza actually going down to flyweight as he's been fighting the UFC. Paiva's moving up to featherweight for this matchup. He's got a little bit of pro boxing experience. He's a high output guy, which will really fare well with Driscoll. If Driscoll, he can get into patterns where he doesn't have the highest output. One thing about Paiva I don't like is he tends to fade kind of late. He's a southpaw, pretty fast hands. Tries to draw out his counterattacks by using feints. He tries to slip punches and counter strike. He does that pretty well. Nice jab. He leads with his left hand, which is his rare hand a lot. Decent pop. Does have some defensive flaws. Drops his hands. Keeps his chin high in the air. He doesn't just slip punches. He really dips really far side high, which could leave him open to knees and uppercuts. He's been rocked before. He's been in a lot of wars. He can be a very left-hand happy, where he just keeps throwing that overhand left or the lead left over and over again without really using his lead right hand. He has no kicks, really, though he does have some step-in knees. He's a Massachusetts high school wrestling state champion, though you hardly ever see his wrestling, and he has been submitted in the past. I'm not that high on either. Driscoll definitely has made improvements since he's gone to American Kickboxing Academy. Paiva, on the other hand, Paiva is a solid regional fighter, but he's not sensational. Like he's a. I didn't want to say, so a lot of people say like quadruple A, as in like a runoff of like triple A baseball, quadruple A. I don't think he's even quadruple A. Like he's triple A. Like I think he's a good regional fighter. I'm gonna take Driscoll. He's younger. He's much bigger, being the former lightweight, dropping down to featherweight instead of Paiva being the former bantamweight going up to featherweight. I think he gets it done by decision. He could get a late stoppage because Paiva fades late, but I know I'm not making myself too popular with my hometown crowd going against the hometown guy. But yeah, I'm gonna take Driscoll. I think he just gonna use his size. I think he's got a big brother bully Paiva and get a UFC get a win, but I don't think he's gonna be impressed enough to get a UFC contract. We move on to a fight that is very intriguing. That's intriguing because there's so much unknown, and that's Danielle Wolfe versus Tanisha Tennant. Danielle Wolfe, she's 37 years old. When I looked into her, she was on MTV's Next. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know what that show is, but maybe you do, and maybe you'll recognize her if you want to Google that. She is a amateur boxer who has like 80 boxing matches. She's been a member of the U.S. national team. She won like 3 national championships, a couple amateur world championships. She was making a run for the Olympic team. But she's making her MMA debut and has 0 MMA experience, not even amateur MMA. What I do like, though, is she's been training with almost like every single big gym. She says she's trained at King's MMA, Alliance MMA, Black House, City Kickboxing, Tiger Muay Thai. She threw out there that she's trained at Floyd Mayweather's gym, the Diaz Brothers boxing gym. I've seen some of her boxing matches. I'm not a boxing fan. I mean, I did the research for this, and I had to look at boxing matches. I mean, she's long and lengthy. She has fast hands. She attacks the body well. Good head movement. She doesn't make the classic mistake the boxers do by hiding behind her punches, or they call pillaring behind your forearms and stuff, which obviously is much harder with the smaller gloves of MMA. I do like that she can strike effectively while backing up. I haven't seen anything from her on the ground because she hasn't had any fights, but she has competed in BJ. She's been training in BJ for a long time. She actually went in the IBJJF World Championship as a white belt and actually won it. So you gotta like that. Moving over to Tanisha Tennant, 34 years old, 3-0 as a pro. Really, she could be 5-0. She competed in the Invicta FC Phoenix Series 3 and won it. That's that single 8-female tournament in Invicta. She won that. She's a good counter striker. Really good lateral movement. Throws lots of jabs. Works behind that jab. Just kind of touches with it. Doesn't try to hurt you with it. But I actually like that because that's what a jab's a range finder. It sets up the other shots. And that's what she does well. Got some nice pop in her power shots. Good kicks. Nice. I like her stepping knee. Her best range is probably the clinch. She got some really good dirty boxing. Uses her knees in there. She has been rocked before. She has, but she wasn't really like hurt. But she's been dropped. Not much of a ground game. She has got a takedown before, but there was no top control. And she did display some good solid takedown defense. So on to prediction. Listen, I almost passed on this. I almost was not going to give a prediction because, I mean, what do we really know about Danielle Wolfe? I mean, we're basing it off of reputation, very experienced boxing, some pretty good jiu-jitsu experience. But, I'm not going to, wimp out. I'm going to make a prediction, but let's be honest. If you like to bet, I'm not a gambler. I've spoken this on record on Loudmouth. I don't gamble simply because my dad, I grew up in a family where my dad had a gambling addiction. Luckily, he has beaten that demon, and I don't have to deal with it. I don't do that because of that. I grew up and I saw reverse. That says, I'm not saying do not bet. But what I'm saying is do not bet on this fight based on my analysis, because this is just a straight gut call. I have no clue who wins this one. I mean, how can you? I'm going to go with the Wolfe. You know what? Fuck it. Like, she should be the more seasoned striker on the feet. I like that she's trained with a lot of top teams. I like that she's competed at BJ Day. I say she wins a decision. I say she gets a UFC contract based simply off the UFC needing featherweights. That said, I like Tennant. I like her skills. I just think based on the background of Wolfe, like, there's a higher ceiling there, but there's also a much lower floor. Like, this could be terrible. This could be a disaster. Or this could be a serious threat in, soon contender in the division. So with that said, I'm going to swing the fences. I'm going to take that risk, and I'm going to go with Wolfe. I'm going to say she wins by decision. Let's move on. Corey Cuppe versus Michael Lombardo. Cuppe is 31 years old, 8-3. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. All his wins come by stoppage. He got a recent win over Kenny Cross, who recently won on Dana White Contender Series. This guy is huge for the weight class. He's 6'5". He's got long arms, long legs. He comes from a karate background. You see that in his striking. Does that Stephen Thompson, light on his feet, sideways, bladed stance, side kicks, hook kicks, wheel kicks. Because he's so long, he closes the distance in an instant, and it's going to be even worse in that small cage at the UFC. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. What's it called? The UFC training center, whatever the hell you call it. Oh my God, I'm taping this really late. I apologize, guys. That says when he closes the distance, he does it wildly and almost doesn't even know his own range, where he'll come in too close and leaves him open for takedowns. And this guy's a terrible defensive wrestler. Like, he gets taken down very easily. He gets taken down in every fight. He makes matters worse by he doesn't sprawl. He'll try to stop the takedown by jumping to a guillotine, put himself on his back. He really struggles to get off his back. That's probably because he's so comfortable on the bottom. He uses it as an offensive position. He's got 7 submission wins, many coming off his back. He uses his long legs to lock up triangles. He also uses his long legs if his opponent stands up over him. He has a good up kick. He won his last bout with elbows off his back. So he's definitely dangerous on the bottom. We go over to Michael Lombardo. He's 30 years old. He's got a 10-2 record, trains at American Top Team. He was on the Contender Series last year, losing to Kyle Dacus. I believe that was by decision. He's a high-level athlete. He's well-rounded, a lot of pressure. Not a very technical striker, but he makes up with it with just, like, crushing power. He likes to get in the pocket, throw down. He's recently added some low kicks to his game, particularly the calf kicks, which we've seen being such an effective weapon in MMA. Good double leg, good wrestler. His double leg, he gets his opponents down. He also has some good trips from the clinch. He's active with his ground and pound, but he can almost be too aggressive, where he'll lose position, just trying to finish the fight. But he does well to get back to his feet. When the scrambles ensue, he looks for guillotines, bravo chokes. He really likes the gator roll choke and scrambles. But he does fade. I've seen him fade in fights, and I don't like that. As prediction, I really hate this fight. Like, I don't think it's that good. I'm not that high on either guy. I don't think either guy is UFC level. I want to take Cuppe because he's so physically imposing and he's so bigger. I expect him to do some damage if he gets taken down. Probably he can slice up with elbows, or he can catch a submission from the bottom. However, his wrestling is so bad. And I hate picking fighters based on being on that back. I can see Lombardo just getting takedowns and holding him down. So screw it. I'll take Lombardo. I feel like I'm already going to regret this one. I'm going to take this one by decision simply because he is the better wrestler. Moving on, we have Mohammed Nemov versus Colin Anglin. Nemov is 26 years old. He's 5-0. He's from Tajikistan. He's a Titan FC veteran. He's been recently training with Elevation Fight Team. On the feet, he's got a really nice jab. He's got a really great pull right hand where he kind of like slips back to his right to avoid the counter, comes back with his straight right. He loves his overhand right. He likes spinning attacks. Defensively, he can make some mistakes by just kind of hiding behind his hands or pillaring, as they call it in boxing. But his best striking is his calf kicks. They're deadly. He stopped his last opponent with calf kicks. In fact, his opponent tapped out from his leg. The opponent fell to the ground from a calf kick and then tapped out the mat before he went in for the kill. He likes being the one moving forward. He doesn't really like pressure. Shane Brown hurt him and rocked him with constant pressure. He was almost knocked out by Shane Brown, almost submitted by him. And it was an incredible comeback. It looked like he was about to get submitted, and then like 5 seconds later, a scramble ensues, and he's on his opponent's back and gets submission. He's a really good wrestler. Like I say, really good scrambles, really good submissions. If he's on top, he looks for that D'Agostini handcuff where he can win some ground and pound. His opponent, Colin Anglin, 27 years old, 7-1, trains with the Scorpion Fight System, but he recently moved to Colorado where he trains with Factory X. He's elusive, good footwork, very, very strong. Killer power. He sits on his punches where he gets all that power, almost like whips his punches at his opponent. I love he has like this little fake shot overhand right, which I really like. He can be a little wild though, as he can kind of pull his head back and just kind of wing him. From his hips, I don't really like that. Really nice kicks to the body, quick one to the head. He finished the opponent with just a crushing body kick. Good takedown defense. He loves a good sprawl and brawl game. Though he does avoid attacks by backing straight up on the center line. I don't like that. Despite having a wrestling background, his offensive wrestling doesn't look that good. I don't think he'll be able to take down Namath, or if he's even want to. And he slows down late in fight because he throws so hard. Prediction: This is a fight that I kind of like. I know Namath is a pretty big favorite. I don't think he should be. I think he should be closer to a pick'em. I like both guys. I'm going to go with Namath because he's the better wrestler, and I just love those calf kicks. That said, I wouldn't be shocked if Anglin crushes him with a power shot. Watch out for the left hook. Watch out for that fake shot overhand right. Give me Namath by unanimous decision. I also think he gets a UFC contract. That said, if you're a betting guy and you can get really good odds on Anglin, like this fight should be a lot closer than it looks like. Like Anglin right now is plus 285. If that moves to like plus 350, like I would jump on that. Even though, as I want to mention once again, I am not a gambler. I just understand, value and odds. Moving on, main event, we have Gregory Rodriguez versus Jordan Williams. Really, really, really good, fun contest. Gregory Rodriguez, 28 years old, Brazilian. He's 72. He's riding a 6-fight winning streak. He's beaten some really good competition too. Trains out of Black House MMA. On the feet, he's pretty limited. He stands up tall. Been blasted in the past. Kind of just throws wildly, though he does hit hard because this guy's ripped. This guy's big, strong. But what he wants to do, he wants to get this fight to the ground. He's a ground specialist. Good entries, though he sometimes just ducks his head and doesn't really set up his entries with his strikes. But if he can grab your legs, you're probably going to go down because he's so physically strong. If you get in the clinch, he usually just backs his opponent against the cage, keeps him there, locks on a body lock. He does have some judo throws, some good trips, strong ground and pound. One thing I don't like is he'll be clubbing his opponent with some ground and pound, and then he'll chase a submission instead of just hitting him and kind of letting his opponent off the hook. But he is a submission. I mean, he has 4 submission wins. He has competed in combat grappling, so he's definitely comfortable there. But sometimes I just feel like sometimes jiu-jitsu guys should just keep punching. Like, don't go for the submission. Moving on, Jordan Williams, 29 years old. This is his 3rd stint on the Contender Series show. His last fight against Ramazan Kurmagomedov might be the best fight in Contender Series history. I mean, it was absolute war. Jordan Williams showed incredible heart. He showed many layers to his game. He was a huge underdog in that fight, and he lost by split decision. He's very athletic, and I would say his technical skills are starting to catch up to his ability. When I wrote about him 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago, when he fought Tim Karen, I said, like, very athletic but raw. I don't think that's true anymore. I think he's really developed his technical skills. He's southpaw. He's got fast hands, power in both hands. His straight left is a moneymaker. I mean, he does so well to bounce his head off the center line while throwing that punch straight down the pipe. He drops his hands. He drops his hands a little bit. It can be super aggressive, and that gets him caught. But he also does well to keep his head off the center line while throwing that. I just think he gets caught because he'd be so aggressive. Very strong wrestler. Good fast entries. Very, very hard to take down himself. Heavy ground and pound. If he's taken down, he gets up quickly. But he has exposed his back to do so. This is another great matchup. I like both guys. I think both guys should already be in the UFC. I thought, even though he lost his last fight, I thought Williams should have got a contract about how great that fight was. Rodriguez has a size advantage. He has a strength advantage. Probably has a submission advantage. That said, I'm taking Williams. He has a Contender Series experience. I think he has a huge advantage on the feet. I think he blasts Rodriguez with the left hand after stuffing some takedowns. I think he's going to stuff some takedowns from Rodriguez, and then he's going to catch him. And I think it's going to happen in the first round. And I think Williams would be a lock for a UFC contract. This is actually he's the underdog, and this is one of my most confident picks. You know what? I'm going to say Jordan Williams is my lock of the night and also my upset of the night. So I'm taking the upset, and I'm feeling very good about it. I like Jordan Williams by knockout. So there you have it, guys. There's all 5 fights. Let's recap them real quick. I got Kyle Driscoll over Dennis Piva via unanimous decision. I do not believe that Driscoll gets a UFC contract, though. Danielle Wolfe over Tanisha Tennant by decision. I think she does get a UFC contract. Michael Lombardo over Corey Coupe. I'm struggling with his last name so much. Via decision. I do not think Lombardo gets a UFC contract. Mohammed Nemov over Colin Anglin via decision. You know what? I'll say decision. I was going to change it. But via decision, I say he gets a... You know what? I'm going to say third round TKO. Let's change that to third round TKO. And I think he gets a UFC contract. And in the main event, Jordan Williams over Gregory Rodriguez. I think he wins by first round knockout. And I think he gets a UFC contract. So there's my picks, guys. Hit me up on Twitter at Keith Shillan MMA. Let me know, who you're taking. That's at Keith Shillan MMA. I'll spell it for you. At KeithShillan MMA. And let me know who you're picking. I'll be back for the next one, guys.